We have some breaking news here on the Commanders Report as Washington has signed wide receiver Noah Brown after NFL roster cuts yesterday. Some pretty big news here for the Washington Commanders. We're going to be breaking down Noah Brown's profile, how he's going to fit into the wide receiver room here in Washington, and just generally what this means for the Commanders moving forward with Noah Brown as their newest addition in the wide receiver room. Now, before we get into all the fun today, make sure you guys click that subscribe button, because this is why you subscribe to the channel. Whenever the Commanders make a significant signing, if they make a trade like they did earlier with John Ridgeway. By the way, we have a video on the John Ridgeway trade here on the channel as well. So if you want to check that out, you can check that out at the end of today's show. But in terms of this one here, let's get into the news from Jeremy Fowler, which just broke, saying, source, wide receiver Noah Brown signing with the Commanders per source will join active roster. Washington gets much needed receiver help. So of course the John Ridgeway trade today opened up a spot on the 53-man roster. We talked about it on the earlier show. And they are filling that roster spot up with another wide receiver in Noah Brown here. And you take a look at his numbers over the last 4 seasons, okay? He spent last season with the Houston Texans, 2022, 2021, 2020 with the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, he hasn't been like an 1,000-yard receiver or anything like that, but last year he was a big play machine, 17.2 yards per catch. He only had 2 touchdowns, but he was solidly their number 4 wide receiver last year in Houston. He's a bigger guy. He's a really good run blocker. He can also provide some help on special teams. So this is a very versatile piece. According to what we've been hearing here, is that Noah Brown was sought after by a bunch of different NFL teams after being cut by the Houston Texans yesterday. Now, the thing with Noah Brown is that he has been dealing with a little bit of a shoulder injury. He didn't play at all in the preseason. So I think the only thing that could maybe get in the way of Noah Brown being a week 1 starter for the Commanders is if that shoulder injury keeps him out, and or he can't pass a physical. So it's definitely going to be an interesting situation here for the Washington Commanders, because Noah Brown is dealing with that shoulder. Will he be able to pass that physical, and then will he be ready to play week 1 when the Washington Commanders play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay? Now, before we go over his profile, I have my scouting report on Noah Brown, and then kind of talk about where he fits in the Commanders wide receiver room. Make sure you go down there and answer this question. What is your one-word reaction to this signing today? In just a second here, I'm going to be talking about our sponsor today at Factor, and I'm going to be giving you my one-word reaction after our sponsor read. And while I'm talking about Factor today, go down there in the comments section and give me your one-word reaction. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor today at Factor Meals. And with fall right around the corner, guys, fuel up for those crisp autumn weekends with Factor's no prep, no mess meals today. Meet your wellness goals in time for fall thanks to Factor's menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and even Keto. Factor's fresh, never-frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are this fall, you always have time to enjoy nutritious, great-tasting meals. Make today the day you kickstart a new healthy routine. What are you waiting for? With 35 different meals and more than 60 add-ons to choose from every week, you'll always have new flavors to explore with Factor. Make your day delicious from breakfast to dessert, and stay fueled with easy, nutritious options. So if you want to get started with our friends at Factor Meals today, you can head on over to factormeals.com/commanderschat50 and use code commanderschat50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month with Factor today. That's code commanderschat50 at factormeals.com/commanderschat50 to get 50% off your first box plus another 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. A big thank you to Factor Meals for sponsoring today's edition of the Commanders Report. So personally, guys, I like the pickup for the burgundy and gold here. I mean, obviously, you get rid of Jahan Dotson, and, maybe we thought Olamide Zaccheaus or maybe Dyami Brown was going to step up into that number 2 wide receiver role. But Noah Brown seems like he is going to be stepping into that spot moving forward, at least when he's healthy, or at least he's going to be a part of the rotation, right? Maybe Noah Brown one week is the number 2 receiver. The next week it's going to be Olamide Zaccheaus. It's going to be a lot of different moving parts here. Of course, you got to make sure sure Noah is healthy here before you get him out on the field. But the big question that needs to be answered here is, where does Noah Brown fit in with the wide receiver room right now? Because you do have Olamide Zaccheaus and you do have Dyami Brown, along with Terry McLaurin, who is the bona fide number one wide receiver here in Washington, and that really is where we're sitting right now. And it's not just those guys, right? You have Luke McCaffrey, who you spent a relatively high draft pick on this year. You do have Byron Pringle and Jamison Crowder, who you consciously kept on this roster. So right now you have 7 wide receivers on this roster, and I do think Noah Brown is going to be somebody that can compete for that number 2 wide receiver spot this season. I think we're going to find out through the first couple of games who Jayden has a good connection with, so I'm not quite sure as of right now, but I think he could slot in anywhere between wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 4 here with that grouping of Olamide Zaccheaus and Dyami Brown. Personally, my scouting report on Noah Brown, it's more positives than negatives with Noah Brown, who I consider to be one of the more underrated receivers in the National Football League, man. He's 6'2", 225 pounds, and he uses that size to his advantage as a run blocker and as a gunner in special teams as well. It's another positive to this, guys, is that Brown can contribute on special teams. I think that even though he doesn't have the best long speed in the world, he does run crisp routes, he gets open consistently, and he does have reliable hands. So he was a big play machine last year for the Houston Texans, over 17 yards per catch, and we know that the Commanders with Jayden Daniels and that beautiful deep ball of his is going to want to throw the ball down the field. So I absolutely think Noah Brown is a serviceable NFL starter when he is healthy, and I think that pretty much the main reason why the Texans let him go is because they had so much depth on their wide receiver depth chart this year, and Noah was kind of hurt and all these different things, and they thought that he was more of a question mark than some of the other established players on their roster. But I think that the Washington Commanders here are getting somebody that can absolutely contribute right away. And if I'd have to guess, I mean, just based on the production from last season, Noah Brown would be this team's number 2 wide receiver. And I think that he's got the skill set to prove that he can be that type of guy. We know that this wide receiver room, guys, has lacked a little bit in the size department. The biggest receiver is Luke McCaffrey right now, but he's not really going to be on the field a ton. Terry McLaurin is the biggest among the starters at 6 foot, but now you're getting a guy that's 6'2", over 220 pounds, and finally this team can add a wide receiver that actually brings some size to the table here, and I think that's absolutely what this team needs heading into the 2024 season. So for the Washington Commanders, man, this late into the game with roster cuts already come and gone, the waiver wire already come and gone today, I think that this is an awesome get for the Washington Commanders, and I can't wait to see what Noah Brown does for this team in 2024. So now it's grading time. Get down there in the comments section and let me know whenever you guys get a second. Grade this signing from a grade of A, B, C, D, or F. For me personally, guys, I'm going to give this an A, because for what it is, after roster cuts, after free agency, after everything that has happened, to still get a guy of this caliber, somebody that could be your number 2 receiver this late into the game, I think is an awesome move by GM Adam Peters. And if Noah Brown can stay healthy this year, I think he will be the number 2 receiver for this football team in 2024. Okay, guys, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. 2 breaking news videos here on the Commanders Report today. It's been absolutely phenomenal here on the channel. And guys, this might not be it. The Commanders might still not be done making moves. So if there's more stuff, if there's another trade, if there's another signing, whatever the case may be, we're going to have a video for you guys. We also have a video from earlier breaking down the John Ridgeway trade. So if you didn't see that one, go ahead and check that one out on the channel right now. My name is Jack Sperry. This has been the Commanders Report. Until next time, hail to the Commanders.